Okay, y'all, this is our Saturday lunch. Purple whole peas out of the garden, fried okra out of the garden, deer burger, hamburger steaks with onions, smother fried deer steak with onions, regular fried deer steak, and my southern green beans. So,
Ooh, if we just had your mama's biscuits
my
now, right?
mama's homemade biscuit. Oh, yeah.
Your mama done told you to cook some biscuits.
That she could make a biscuit, I'm telling you right now. So I'm going to fix Kale and Roy a plate, and they're going to let you know how this tastes. This is a picture of my mama and my daddy. I think that was at my niece Leary's wedding. I'm all the time talking about my mama. This is a picture of my mama when she was in her early 40s. She was a beautiful woman. Now, this is a picture of my daddy a couple of years before he died. He lived to be 86 years old. And that right there captures my daddy's personality. It captures everything about my daddy. He was the sweetest man, and my mama was the sweetest woman.
Good morning, Grandmama.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. I'm Rose from Grandma Rose's Open Pantry. It's Saturday morning, almost 11 o'clock.
Let me see your apron. What does it say this morning?
Grandma Rose's Open Pantry.
Oh, okay. Nice.
I order these off of Etsy, and I'm going to get that link, and I'm going to put it, tell y'all who I order these from. She already has the designs made up. You just, whatever you want in your, on your apron, and I have several. So I'll have to get her link, and I'll have to give it to y'all, because she not only does aprons, she does a lot of things. But okay, today I am going to cook something that my mama would have cooked when I was growing up. It is cube steak. Today I'm using deer because my son-in-law brought me some cube deer this past week, and he also brought some hamburgers, some ground burger. So, and this is, Mama would have cooked this because my daddy was a big hunter. My brothers were big hunters. My granddaddy, my uncles, they were all big hunters. And so I've got some purple whole peas in this pot right here that I've already cooked. And all I put in them was salt, pepper, and a little bacon grease because I didn't have any ham. And this is some green beans that I have cooked down, and they have got salt, pepper, a little butter, and garlic. So I just put the lid on them, let them cook for probably 15 minutes, then I take the lid off, cook all that water off, and cook them down. I'm doing fried okra this morning, and I'm doing my cube steak.
This is just a Georgia meal.
This is a southern meal that my mama would have cooked when I was growing up. So, all right, I'm going to season my meat, but I'm also going to season. Now, this is gluten-free. Now, Mama would have not been gluten-free. Back then, you didn't know anything about gluten-free. You didn't know anything about that. So, I'm going to put a little garlic in mine. Now, I'm going to season mine a little bit different than what she would. She would have only used salt and pepper because this is a little cayenne pepper right here. All right, here's my salt and pepper over here. And I got my grease on, getting hot, in a cast iron skillet, and that's what she would have used, a cast iron skillet. All right, I'm just going to take my scissors because I'm going to use them in just a second. Okay. Now, my grease is hot for my okra, honey. Okay. I have already put salt and pepper on my okra and a little cayenne pepper, but I always like to season my my coating just a little bit. And this is gluten-free flour and plain cornmeal, which it doesn't have any gluten in it. And I have seasoned my okra, which is salt, pepper, and a little cayenne pepper on it, and I put buttermilk over it. So I'm going to go ahead and get my coat some of my okra and get it in my little fry daddy here since it's hot. Now, Mama would have done hers in a cast iron skillet on top of the stove, but since I'm doing the steak, I just want to use my fry daddy today. And I use my fry daddy every time I do fried okra. I mean, it just does such a wonderful job. And you don't have to worry about it burning. It's got a thermostat on it, and you just set it on, mine's on like 350, and you just let it cook till it gets as brown as you want it. And I see my grease is smoking over there, so I got to hurry up. All right, let me wash my hands, baby, and we're gonna get this steak. I need to turn the grease down just a little bit because I see it getting hot. All right, I'm gonna salt and pepper each piece of steak. Now, I don't want a whole bunch of breading on it, so I am not going to dip it in buttermilk. Now, if I wanted a lot of coating on it, I would dip it in buttermilk, but I'm not because I don't want that. I'm gonna do gravy and onions. I've got onions cut up, or Kale is here. He cut up onions for me this morning, and he cut up my okra. This may be too hot, but I'm on. No, I think it's okay. All right. Yep, he said, Grandma, what you got that I can do? I said, baby, because he loves helping me in the kitchen. I said, you can cut up Grandma's okra. So he did that. And then he said, what else you got? I said, you can cut up my onions. So now it's not going to take this long to cook because it's so thin. My grease is a little hot, but I think it's going to be all right. Because I'm going to put some of this in gravy. I'm not going to put it all in gravy, but I am going to put some of it in gravy. Because Roy loves it with gravy and onions. Sorry, this is loud, y'all. The frying is. A lot of times the frying is louder than my voice. So, okay. Let me get my tongs, baby. All right. Okay. That's doing good. Bless you, honey. Roy just sneezed if y'all didn't hear it. Okay. And when Philip, uh, when they kill a deer, Promise goes, y'all know Promise, my granddaughter, she's here with me a lot. She deer hunts too. When they kill a deer, they soak it in ice water for like 6 days before they have it processed. And that draws a lot of that blood out, and it draws a lot of that wild flavor out. Well, this morning, I soaked it in salt water for probably 30 minutes before I cooked it. Roy says I take all the wild out of it, but I don't like it with a wild flavor to it. So, I had some ground beef. I made some hamburger steaks with onions this morning. I've got that over there. Need to check my okra, baby. Okay. All right. It's cooking real well. So I'm just going to let it keep cooking. I'm going to keep cooking my steak over here. I'm going to get something out to put my steak on, and we'll be right back. Ooh, looks good, doesn't it?
It does look good.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Put the rest of it in. I'm fixing to take up my okra, because it's about ready. And then we are going to pour when this gets ready, we're going to pour our grease up. I got one more piece. That one's not quite ready. I'll put it in when I take this one up. And then we're going to make our gravy and our onions for our steak.
Is your okra finished?
Huh?
Is your okra finished?
Yeah, I'm fixing to take it up. Yep. Let me get. Okay. All right. Look at that, y'all. That's some good okra. Now the next batch I'll do a little bit browner. Roy likes his just a little bit browner than me and Kay will do. So, and I'll put my second batch in. And then that piece of steak is going to be ready to take up. Now this is what you call a good old southern meal right here. Purple whole peas out of the garden, green beans, fried okra out of the garden, deer steak with gravy and onions. So good, y'all. Wash my hands. Okay, I'm going to take up this piece and put my last piece in. Alright, y'all. My mama she was such a clean cook. I mean, she was clean. Her house was always clean. She was a really clean. But I just wanted to show y'all what she did. She would take a fork. I've got tongs, but she would take her fork and she was constantly doing this, especially if she was frying something. And my sister Diane, if you're watching this, my sister-in-law Shirley and Joe, y'all have seen Mama do this thousands of times. She would take her fork that she was using to turn her stuff, and she was doing this all the time. Every 5 or 10 minutes, she'd get it. If she saw a little bit of grease that had splattered out, she would take that fork and she would take her dish towel and she would keep her stove. When she got through cooking, it was cleaner than it was before she started. So that's just a little nostalgia that I want to share with y'all. And I do the same thing. So see y'all in a minute. All right, honey. If y'all noticed before, this was frying real hard. I mean, I couldn't hardly talk over it because it was frying so hard. All right. Do y'all hear that? It just kind of subsided. That means that what you've got in your grease is done. So that's when you know that your food is done, is when that frying goes from a hard fry down to a softer fry. These are thicker pieces, so I'm going to fry them. You can hear that when I turn that frying up some, it got a little bit louder. So I'm going to cook these about 2 or 3 more minutes. I'm going to pour up my grease in a pan right here. I'm just going to pour it up. And then I'm going to show y'all how I'm going to cook my onions and make my gravy. And then we're going to put some of this in our gravy and onions. But we'll be back in a few minutes.
Okay.
All right. Roy poured my grease up for me because it was really hot. And you see all these sediments in the bottom? Now that is what is going to make good gravy. Do not get rid of those. Keep those sediments in the bottom of your pan. And you see there's about probably a 1/4 cup of grease, oil that I left in there. So I'm going to put about a 1/4 cup of my gravy. Of my gluten-free flour. All right, and I'm just going to stir this around, and we're going to cook this for a little bit. But I'm also going to put a little bit of butter in it because butter just gives it a really, really good flavor. So that's probably 2 tablespoons, maybe 1 good tablespoon of butter. All right.
If you're not gluten-free, just use regular flour.
Yeah, if you're not gluten-free, use regular flour. Okay? You see the consistency of that? That's what you want. And we're going to cook this. I'm going to put pepper. Now, we like a lot of pepper in our gravy. It just makes it so good. All right? And salt. And that's just to your taste. All right? I'm just going to keep stirring it with my spatula until it gets brown. Now, my mama never used milk in her gravy. I had never heard of milk gravy till, oh goodness, I don't know. I was probably in my 30s. All we ever used was water. So that's what I'm going to use today is water. And I still make mine with water. I do not use milk. Now, if I was making sausage gravy, I might would put milk in it. I might would make milk gravy. But we just don't eat much sausage gravy. All right, stay right there, baby. I'm getting the water. All right, this is 2 cups right here. All right, I put a cup in it. I put the whole 2 cups because I don't want it really thick because I'm going to put some of this steak back down in it. I'm going to put my onions in it. I should have browned my onions, but there were so many sediments in there, so I didn't want my onions to get really, really dark with all those sediments. So I'm just gonna cook my onions in my gravy. All right, I need a little bit more water. Okay. What I'll do is put some of this back in this gravy and onions. I'll put a lid on it and I'll let it just kind of smother in the gravy and onions until my onions get done. That'll probably take around, I don't know, 10 minutes. Put a little bit more. That's the consistency you want right there. Especially if you're putting something that already has batter on it, because this already has some batter on it. So it's going to make your gravy just a little bit thicker. So I'm putting my bigger pieces, my fatter pieces, down in the gravy. And I'm only going to do four pieces. And I'm going to leave the rest of this. Kale. I'm seeing if Kale likes gravy. Okay. Do you like your steak in gravy? You do? Okay, I'm going to put one more piece in there for Kale. All right. Now, I'm going to turn it down on low. Now, my steak, remember, my steak is already done. I'm just cooking my onions right now.
You're just letting it simmer.
I'm just letting it simmer. Yeah. So, because I want that steak and those onions to just, I just want this gravy to coat them. So, all right. I'm going to put a lid on this. And in about 5 or 6 minutes, then we're going to come back. And Kale and Roy's going to taste of all this for you and let you know what our southern Georgia lunch is going to be like.
Then I'll come in. Okay, I'm coming in.
Okay, y'all, I want to show you this. This is a universal lid. It fits. It's got several different little indentions on it, and it fits. This is like a 12-inch cast iron skillet. It fits the 10 inches. It is universal. It fits so many frying pans. I love it. And I know I got it on Amazon. And I just think it's called a universal lid, frying pan lid or something like that. I'll look up the link and if I can find it again. I've had this a couple of years, but I'm sure they still sell them. But this is wonderful. This is something you really need in your kitchen, especially for your cast iron skillets, because a lot of them don't have lids. And this doesn't get hot. Your little handle here doesn't get hot. It's perfect. Okay, Kale just blessed our food, and he and Granddaddy are about to taste.
I want you to look at that, Grandma.
Look at that plate.
Oh, my goodness.
And that's Kale's. Kale said he wasn't real hungry, but he's going to taste of it for us. All right, y'all go ahead. Let me know.
Wow.
And Roxy she is eyeing it. She would love to sit down and eat with us. All right. How is it, Granddaddy?
Grandmama.
Is that steak good?
Delicious. Delicious.
Okay, Kale.
The white Phillip.
Take your knife and cut it, baby. Yeah.
Right.
The way they process their deer is wonderful.
It just tastes almost exactly like beef steak.
Yeah. Now you can use pork. You can use cube pork. You can use cube beef. Whatever you want to use. But this is just a great, great way to fix it.
Woo!
Okay, Kale. Okay, I got a thumbs up on that. All right.
I love the buttermilk in your batter for your okra.
Yes, yes, it's very good. All right, they are going to chow down. I'm fixing to fix me a little plate. And food feeds the family, family feeds the heart, God feeds the soul. Put deliciousness back in your food. And this is some good food right here. Good old Southern cooking.
Come back to see us.
Love y'all. Please share this video, subscribe to my channel, hit that notification bell, leave me a comment, give me a thumbs up. Love y'all.